Okay, so now we're going to do the types of intangible assets, and we start off with marketing related. These are trade names, trademarks, things like that, internet domain names. These are generally considered to be unlimited life because they're renewable every 10 years. But when you go to do some of the homework, they'll be limited life, so you have to watch out for that. They're limited life if you like Dansko. Dansko, a few years ago, you know, they make the clogs. They forgot to renew their Dansko trade name, and so it was bought up immediately by this company in China that immediately started making Dansko shoes that were no longer really Dansko. So now if you want Dansko, you have to buy something called Samita. So you don't want to be that person, oh boss, I forgot to register the trade name. Don't think you got the promotion that year. So generally considered to be unlimited life, so they don't amortize. And they say that right in the book. And then the examples they give you, like brief exercises, some of them have limited lives. So if you buy them, they're going to be capitalized, the purchase price. Internally developed, all of your R&D is expensed. Your direct costs, which can include a few others than these, but these are your basic ones, those may be capitalized along with successfully defending it. Okay, so if we look at brief exercise 12.3, and sometimes it's nice just to look at these as you go along. And you can see here's a trade name, 8-year life. Okay, so the Mean Bean Machine, maybe it did have an 8-year life because I've never heard of it. But anyway, so capitalize the trade name that was purchased. That's the attorney, I'm sorry, it was not a purchase, it was the attorney fees associated with it, and then amortize over its useful life. If it's an unlimited life, it's just going to be tested for impairment annually. Okay, so your next one are customer related, so let's look at those. These are customer lists, customer relationships, databases. Generally, we're going to have a limited life, simply because your customers have a limited life, and you know they might not want to buy your product as they get older, or you know whatever. So you amortize these over the useful or the legal life, whichever is less. And generally, you're going to assume a 0 residual value on these. Okay, so then you have your artistic related intangibles. And this is a very complex area. If you want to see how some of the complexities here, you could see what Disney is trying to do with some of their copyrights on Mickey Mouse and all of that. But these are your rights to plays and music, a lot of artistic materials. Granted for the life of the creator plus 70 years, which means that's granted to the owner and the descendants of the owner up to 70 years. If you buy these, a copyright, you can capitalize the cost and you amortize over the legal or the useful life, whichever is shorter, and it's usually going to be the useful life on these. Okay, so for artistic related, we could look at brief exercise 12.10. And this is a copyright. This company bought 2 copyrights. One was for an internally developed textbook. The other, and it gives you the useful life and all of that, sort of luring you into thinking you're going to amortize it. But it was internally developed, so it just gets expensed. Okay? Expense it. The other one, the second copyright was purchased, and it has an indefinite useful life. So you're going to capitalize the $24,000 cost to buy it, and then indefinite life, so you do an annual impairment test. Okay, so there's a lot of little details here that you don't want to fall for, and even in the brief exercises, they're trying to get you with these. Okay, then you've got your the contract-related intangibles. And these would be your franchise agreements, various licensing agreements, broadcast rights. And these are generally, if you buy them, they're going to be capitalized. And they can be either limited or unlimited depending on the circumstances. And I think brief exercise 12.4 gives you a quick little example of these. So back 4. Yeah, so basically you're buying the franchise for a cash payment of $120, but it was bought on April 1st. So as with your depreciation, and you're going to have to, you can only amortize it if you own it, and you didn't own it January, February, March. So you can only amortize it for the 9 months that it was owned that first year. Okay, so that's that one. And then the last are your patents and sort of your technology-related intangibles. And these would be trade secrets and product and process patents, things like that. Granted by the U.S. Patent Office, usually 20-year legal life, and you're going to amortize over the legal or the useful life, whichever is less. Okay, so you'd look at brief exercises 12.1 and 2 on that. Just to see how that works. They bought a patent, its remaining useful life was 16. Remaining legal life was 16, useful life is 10, so you divide by the 10 to amortize it. And then on the second one, oh yeah, this gets a little bit confusing. This is the same information as above, but it's a year later now, and they've had a successful defense of the patent. And basically what happens here is you bought the patent bought the patent 1 year, so you're amortizing it over the useful life. Then maybe in the next year sometime, or a couple of years after, you have to defend it. Well, the defense of the patent only gets amortized. It gets added to the cost of the, added right in the ledger account to the patent, but it's only going to get amortized over the remaining useful life, which is going to be less than the original because some time has passed. So here, you've got the carrying value of the patent right now is 43.2, the successful defense, and you've got the remaining useful life of 8 years. So you can do it one of two ways. I like to do it the other way just because it makes more sense to me. But you can go the patent, defense of patent, and then you divide it by 8. What I like to do is do the original patent expense, and then do I like to do the original patent and then do the defense separately. You get the same amount, so do it whichever way makes sense to you. Okay, so that's a little bit on the types of intangibles. And if you want to know more, look at some of the extras in the on Blackboard. I've got a whole bunch of let's see, I've got a whole bunch of stuff up here. If you go to, okay, getting totally lost here. All right, so chapter 12 are intangibles. And if you go to the amazingly interesting articles and other stuff, these are just things that, most valuable brand names, just to give you a sense of that. A podcast on Coca-Cola's secret formula. These are just totally extra, but they give you a sort of a feel of what's going on in the real world in some of these intangibles.